Every afternoon, Marcos Lopez is in a field outside his home, collecting grasshoppers and crickets. It not only feeds his family, it's the family business. Marcos's mother sells the grasshoppers, known as chapulines, in nearby Oaxaca City.
¿Quiere chapulines?
Insects are a regular part of the diet here, occasionally and uneasily sampled by tourists. They are an inexpensive food source and a healthy one, packed with protein. It's been that way for centuries. The ruins that overlook the city are what remains of Monte Alban. This was home to Zapotecs. 4,000 years ago, chapulines and other insects were an essential part of their diet. And for the Zapotecs' descendants, like the Lopez family, they are considered a staple. In the world's third largest city, the tradition has been lost. This is Mexico City's famous Zocalo. There are no chapulines here, just plenty of fast food. But little by little, the old ways are coming back. One of Mexico City's most famous chefs, Yuri de Gortari, is reintroducing agave worms and other insects in a class for Mexico's future cooks.
These ones used to be the protein source of people before red meat came with the conquest, so these are very nutritious.
Insects are rich in nutrients, and because they reproduce quickly, they're plentiful. But in large urban areas, like Mexico City, insects are known as pre-Hispanic food, a delicacy served only at a few upscale restaurants.
We're very proud of be learning this because we're getting to know parts of our history that we didn't knew before. We say here in Mexico that says you can't love what you don't know. So for us, it's getting back to our traditions.
And traditions can be tasty. The students love the insect cuisine. Then comes my turn.
Here we go.
It tastes like nothing I've had before.
Edible insects have more significance than mere culinary adventure. Bugs can save lives. Dr. Edmundo Escamilla is a food historian.
This is a country where there is a great polarization of its wealth. Malnutrition is growing rapidly. The people themselves can harvest insects. They are very expensive in the market. A cricket taco has the same nutrients or more than a fillet of beef.
In the heart of Mexico City, at the National Autonomous University of Mexico, is one of the world's leading entomologists, Dr. Julieta Ramos.
How many insects are in this room?
No,
How many samples?
Dr. Ramos is pioneering programs to raise insects for use in fertilizer, medicine, and even healthier foods. She has a plan to fight malnutrition in Mexico. These cockroaches are being raised to become superbugs.
So are we making these cockroaches even more nutritious?
yes. They have 72% of proteins. That is a lot of good quality.
And all that good quality can be added to the ingredients of basic foods, like tortillas. And Dr. Ramos says her superbugs can one day make this possible.
They said me that I was crazy, that eating insects or insects in medicine, it is not possible, etc. And I continue, and I demonstrate this. And now you can see that there is a lot of benefit that they can give us.
Dr. Ramos admits it will be difficult to convince urban populations to eat termites for lunch. But in a small village outside Oaxaca, where insects are still a fundamental food source, the cuisine of their ancestors could provide a healthy future for an entire country. A pregnant Huichol Indian has come to the regional hospital in Jesus Maria. Here, in a wing devoted to traditional medicine, a midwife massages her painful stomach. The baby is in breech. The curandero, the native healer, consults with the hospital's chief of staff. Together, they make a decision. The woman is taken to the other side of the hospital for an ultrasound image in the modern medicine wing. The procedure will make sure she and her baby are okay. One woman, two different treatments. With the exception of this very different hospital, founded in 1998, little has changed in Jesus Maria for centuries. Deep in the Sierra Madre Mountains, we arrive by chartered plane, landing on a dusty airstrip. Jesus Maria is the home of Huichol and Cora Indian groups, people who believe their river, their land, and the sun are sacred. To be here at all, we must first gain permission.
Buenos días.
My producer and I negotiate with a group of elders
Muchas gracias.
Okay.
who decide we can go into the town to visit the hospital that links Jesus Maria's cultural traditions with the latest in medical science.
These herbs have been utilized for many years, but scientific medicine has been closed-minded to the therapeutic benefits these herbs have for patients. The importance here is that the doctors are recognizing the benefits of traditional medicine.
A physician checks out a man with chest pains and refers him to the curandero. The curandero recommends the man go outside to the hospital's herbal sweat lodge, which benefits a variety of ailments. When it comes to treating patients, there is remarkable tolerance and understanding between the curanderos and physicians. The white robes, as doctors here are known, take great care to respect traditional approaches while practicing modern methods.
Traditional medicine must complement itself with the resources contained in modern medicine, and Western medicine must complement itself with that holistic vision contained in traditional medicine.
Don Fernando, the curandero of the hospital, presides over what is called a cleansing ritual. He explains that every room in the hospital's traditional wing has a purpose.
All the rooms have their respective names where the patients are treated, whether they come to see the midwife or the masseuse, the chiropractor or the herbalist. We take patients in serious condition to the shrine, so the Lord can give us the power to cure that particular patient. The patient can give an offering, whether it's a candle or whatever the patient has to offer.
The Jesus Maria Hospital can assist 40,000 people in this extremely rugged region. There are people who won't go to the hospital, so the hospital goes to them. This family is receiving immunizations and vitamins. For the smallest children, it's the very first time they've ever seen a doctor.
I feel very good about them because they help us.
The family now has medical records and appointments to come to the hospital for future care. This outreach program lets the hospital gain the trust of a community uneasy about white coats. The people of Jesus Maria are now more willing to reach out for help when they need it the most. This baby suffers from severe malnutrition. His grandparents brought him here, but native treatments are not an option. Only medical formulas will save his life. The curandero understands this, and now so does the baby's family. This cooperation is the approach the hospital strives to achieve.
¡Ay, qué rico!
So that kindergarten children in Jesus Maria will grow up with the advantages of modern medicine while continuing to celebrate their past. In the glow of the full moon, sometime after midnight, a sea turtle comes ashore on an isolated beach to lay her eggs in the sand. She is one of thousands of turtles who will journey to this stretch of the Oaxaca coast to bury their eggs every year. The eggs can hatch here without harm. This is a federally protected zone. But that wasn't always the case. The turtles were once hunted for food and profit.
On average, about 1,800 to 2,000 turtles would be killed daily. We would work from 2 to 3 in the morning to 9 and 10 at night, so we could make some money, which we really needed.
Killing turtles and other animals in this mangrove was how Agustin Reyes and the people of the coastal village of Ventanilla survived. In 1985, the government shut down the turtle trade. It left the people of Ventanilla desperate. But the turtles, crocodiles, iguanas, all the species who lived in the mangrove, safe and protected. The Ventanilla mangrove is an important ecosystem for Mexico. Here, where fresh mountain water mixes with the ocean, there is a wide variety of plants and animals living in delicate harmony.
Wow, it's an amazing place. It's beautiful.
Biologist Hector Marcelli recognized the Ventanilla mangrove's potential to generate income as a tourist attraction. That came as a surprise to the people who live here.
They don't think or feel it's beauty or useful. And when the ecotourists say, no, it's beautiful by itself, amazing.
And so, in 1991, Project Ventanilla began. For the next 6 years, the people of Ventanilla got an environmental education. Preservation equaled profits, and not just from boat tours. A network of cooperatives began to market everything from homemade peanut butter to natural cosmetics. The people who once exploited this land had learned to appreciate it. In October 1997, nature dealt not one, but 2 devastating blows. The first was Hurricane Pauline, the strongest hurricane ever recorded on the Oaxaca coast. The eye of the storm landing directly in Ventanilla.
The hurricane destroyed 95% of the mangroves. 95% of the mangroves.
Devastating.
Yes, devastating, completely devastating.
Just weeks later, a second punishing storm, Hurricane Rick. Homes were destroyed. But the people of Ventanilla knew what needed to be done first. Save the mangrove seeds before the rising water of the lagoon swept those seeds and their future away.
In Ventanilla was happening something very special. The people wake up to new reality, and immediately, the next day, they go to the mangrove and start to recover all the seeds they can recover. They plant around 50,000 trees of mangroves.
5 years later, the replanted mangroves are growing, and Ventanilla's eco-tourists are coming back in even greater numbers to be greeted by a new generation.
Our guide through the Ventanilla mangrove is Lalo. Now, Lalo may be only 15 years old, but he learned at a very young age the importance of this land and what his people can accomplish.
Before, people used nature to survive. That's changed because now they are doing the opposite. They try to preserve nature at the same time benefiting from it without destroying it.
In English, Ventanilla means little window. But here in this mangrove, the changes are anything but small. A community has become nature's caretaker, and nature is responding by taking care of a community. Just before dusk in the highlands of Chiapas, a group of town elders begins patrolling the grounds around the buried Mayan temple called Moxbaquil. The ruins of the largest Mayan complex in the highlands lie under this earth, but vandalism of the site's artifacts, like these clay statues, is rampant. So, on a volunteer basis, these men protect Moxbaquil. They are also protecting their ancestry.
Why should we take care of it? Because this is the only reminder that we have of our ancestors in this community, even in the whole region of San Cristobal.
Just below Moxbaquil lies the colonial town of San Cristobal de las Casas. In San Cristobal, indigenous Tzotzil and Setzil people carry on thousand-year-old rituals and traditions. San Cristobal was the center of the 1994 Zapatista uprising, in which indigenous people demanded land reform and more local power. Journalist Elio Tovar reported the violent takeover of the government buildings in this square. The political climate has changed little since the Zapatista uprising. A revolution continues, however, a cultural one.
Before 1994, indigenous people would be ashamed of their background. Since 1994, they vindicate their culture. People are not ashamed to say they are indigenous. Quite the opposite.
Nowhere is this more evident than in the hills just a few miles above San Cristobal in San Juan Chamula. Dr. Nicholas Waite, anthropologist and one of the first published Tzotzil poets, is our guide.
Roberto, este es el pueblo de San Juan Chamula. Tiene 500 años de vida y es de la cultura mayense.
What Nicholas is saying is this is it. This is San Juan Chamula. It is at least 500 years old, and the only people who live here are Tzotziles, who are descendants of the ancient Mayans. Vámonos.
Vamos a conocer.
Because much of San Juan Chamula is considered sacred, we first have to ask town elders for permission to film. Everywhere you turn in San Juan Chamula, Indian identity is a way of life. The work of a local artist illustrates the Zapatista movement and the cultural awakening that followed. For the first time, children are being taught to read and write in their native Tzotzil language. Tradition is beginning to thrive in the Chiapas highlands. But there is more to be uncovered and preserved.
I'm not quite sure I understand how people would be able to just sort of know this was a site.
You can identify the platforms that are rising up if you have a good eye.
We have come back to Moxbaquil, the buried Mayan pyramid. Archaeologist Ian Hollingshead says there is still a shortage of money to excavate this site, a site that could open new doors to Mayan history. Everywhere there are pieces of artifacts, unearthed by vandals.
So you can just see them everywhere.
Yeah. For example, I found this piece engraved.
You can see the design. How old is that? What's in my hand right now?
These are probably post-classic pieces of Mayan pottery.
But now at dusk, volunteers begin their nightly patrol, guarding their past and their identity. The indigenous people of Chiapas are no longer ashamed.